Okay, it is getting a little dark out here, but I've been enjoying the 12-degree weather in March. Temperature's supposed to drop down a little bit this weekend, but spring is here. I read Young Once by Patrick Modiano yesterday, translated by Damien Searles, perhaps. This book was released on March 8th by the New York Review of Books. In this translation, you might have seen me review his other book, In the Cafe of Lost Youth, a couple days ago. I actually enjoyed that one more than I enjoyed this one, but this one was still good. This is supposedly one of his best works, but In the Cafe of Lost Youth was much better, I think. Not that there was anything particularly wrong with this one, I found the plot and the characters of In the Cafe of Lost Youth more engaging, but Young Once is about a couple. They're reminiscing of what it was like when they were young. At the beginning, it's their 35th birthday. They have a few children. They own a magnificent property. It's a lodge of some sort. Up in the mountains somewhere, it appears. They've been using it as a kind of home or a summer camp for children, and that's over now, and they're happy to have the place to themselves. And then you get a picture of what their life was like as the young woman tried to build a singing career, as the young man worked as a night watchman, took some pretty shady jobs, contributing to illegal activity, sneaking money across borders, that sort of thing. I guess normally this is the part in a video where I would read a passage that I liked, but there wasn't anything specifically that stood out to me, anything that I really loved about it. The writing was good. There was just no scene where I had to stop and underline or highlight where I said, this is fantastic, I love this. So maybe I'll just pick a spot at random to give you a taste of what the book is like. Well, here's a fairly decent scene. So this is page 56. Curious about the place where his mother had worked, he looked up the Bal Tabarin's address, but at its number on the Rue Victor Massé, he found himself in front of a blind facade. They must have turned the old music hall into a dance hall or a garage. It was the same feeling as the one he'd had the night he walked down Boulevard de Grenelle for the first time to contemplate the Vel d'Hiv in memory of his father. So neither of the two places that had been the center of gravity of his parents' life existed anymore. A feeling of anxiety rooted him to the spot. Sections of walls were falling on his mother and father in slow motion, and their interminable collapse raised clouds of dust that smothered him. That night he dreamed that Paris was a black cross with only two places lit up, the Vel d'Hiv and the Bal Tabarin. Panic-stricken, moths flew for a moment around the lights before falling into the hole. Little by little they formed a thick layer on which Louis walked, sinking up to his knees, and soon turned into a moth himself. He was siphoned up by the rest. So that was probably one of my favorite passages in the book, and I didn't even think about it until I was flipping through and saw probably the only one spot in this book that I marked up at all. So as I said, this is my second book by this author. I'm hoping to check out more of his works. I'm not sure whether or not more of his works have been translated into English, but I'm going to investigate. I'm going to keep an eye out for his works. And if you're into translated French literature, I would recommend that you check this author out. Perhaps go for In the Cafe of Lost Youth first, since I enjoyed that book more than Young Once. And I am almost out of light.